I want to thank everybody for joining us today and thank all the members of the press for being on this phone call. It was very important to me to say a few words this afternoon about the COVID relief fund and the federal stimulus monies that are coming into Rhode Island and have come into Rhode Island in order to help us fight the coronavirus crisis here on the ground. And in that vein, I wanted to make sure that we had our entire federal delegation on the line. So in a normal world, I would have loved to have had a press conference with all of us available. But in light of the social distancing in place, we decided to go with the teleconference. But I wanted to do a couple of things in this call. First and foremost, I wanted to thank our federal delegation for their really, truly unbelievable and heroic efforts in honestly fighting for Rhode Island in Washington every single day. And I choose that word carefully because they have secured for the people of Rhode Island more than $1.25 billion. And that was not obvious that they were going to be able to get that done. Although our federal delegation is wanting to do the right thing here, it hasn't been easy. And so I have been in daily contact with our federal delegation from the get-go. When this started, we started a daily phone call between my staff and their staff. I have constantly been in touch with them, and they've delivered. And so today is, somewhat of a good day in the fight against the coronavirus. $1.25 billion is a lot of money to help the people of Rhode Island get through this. I have said, I did an interview last week, and I said there has been some dark days so far in this crisis. And on those darkest of days, I would pick up the phone and call Senator Reid, and he was there, and he said, "I'll get back to work, Governor." I would call Congressman Cicilline and say, "We need more money for our hospitals." He'd say, "I'll go call Speaker Pelosi right now." Senator Whitehouse would call in to me and offer ideas about our hospitals. Congressman Langevin, on his way down, driving to D.C., would call me and say, "What more do we need, Governor? How do we help the people of Rhode Island?" is what they've been asking me. And I think it's important that we all know that and express our gratitude. I am certainly grateful. The money that I'll be saying more at my press conference today about, how we'll be spending the money. It's all extremely in flux right now because we still don't know what future federal stimulus is to come. But at a high level, we're going to be using the money for resources to secure PPE, ventilators, hospital facilities to keep everybody safe going forward. The additional Medicaid money allowed us to give more to nursing homes, which are bearing the brunt of this crisis. We've also made temporary supplemental pay available to frontline private healthcare workers, all wage increases, all because of federal funds. We also expect to use additional federal funds to help our hospitals. Hospitals have canceled non-critical surgeries. That's a big revenue stream for them, so we have to be there for them. Nursing homes, DD group homes, DCYF group homes are all going to need additional funds, which I expect will come out of this COVID relief fund. Public safety personnel are working overtime, putting more people on staff. Cities and towns, municipalities have incurred significant expenses to keep their residents safe. So all of those are categories that will be eligible for COVID relief monies. And again, thanks to Congress and our CODEL, we'll have the money to do that. Finally, I want to especially thank our delegation for fighting for flexibility. The governors all around the country we're trying to fight this fight on a daily basis, and we need flexibility and also the ability to move quickly. And that's exactly what this COVID relief fund, the way it's been structured, by Congress and the Treasury is designed to do. So in addition to the fact that we're going to spend the money on the direct relief in the categories I just outlined, we also need to recognize the fact that we have 180,000 Rhode Islanders who are out of work and many, many small businesses who are closed. And so because the delegation secured a great deal of flexibility for governors to be able to expend this money where necessary, I also expect that we'll be using some of our COVID relief funds for small business support, hopefully for training for unemployed Rhode Islanders who are out of work on account of COVID, child care, some amount of education aid, small business aid, a number of ways that we need to support the economy, which in the lingo of the new regulations here is the secondary mitigating effects. And I'm extremely grateful that our delegation was able to secure that flexibility. So what I can commit to the people of Rhode Island is that we will spend every penny of this responsibly and with complete transparency in 100% response to the crisis. Within the next month or so, I'll be launching a website, a publicly facing website, which will detail the COVID-19 expense tracking, and we will update it on a monthly basis so every Rhode Islander can see exactly how we're spending the emergency funds with respect to medical equipment and testing, services, all the items that I just went through. And it will be fluid because, as I said at the top, there's a lot of unknowns, and so I'm going to need some flexibility to make changes as additional monies come through from the federal government. So with that, I want to make sure everyone on this call has a chance to hear from our delegation, so I'd like to turn it over to Senator Reid.
Well, thank you very much, Governor, and I presume I'm being heard. I hope so. But let me begin by offering my sincere gratitude for your exemplary leadership. You've done an extraordinary job, and I speak for all Rhode Islanders when I say thank you very much. I also want to commend my colleagues in the delegation, Senator Whitehouse, Congressman Langevin, and Congressman Cicilline. They have been tireless in their efforts to help the people of Rhode Island. They've done it successfully. They get results. They have, as you pointed out, constant communication with you so that they know what the state needs. And trust me, they are extraordinary in delivering to the people of Rhode Island. Most of all, I want to thank Rhode Islanders. I want to thank them for their incredible courage and community spirit in the face of very stressful times. Coronavirus has upended all of our lives, but they have shown that they can rise to the occasion, they can do it with patience and resilience and sacrifice. I particularly want to commend the essential workers, those men and women who are on the healthcare front lines, hospitals and nursing homes, those individuals who are out at retail markets, stocking shelves, etc., the men and women who are making sure that all these facilities are clean, they're working hard. We owe them a great deal of appreciation. It's a courageous act, not just an selfless act, and we thank them. Now, the CARES Act, we all worked on it, Sheldon and Jim and David and I was involved in the Corona Relief Fund as well as my colleagues, the $1.25 billion nationally, much more than that nationally, $1.25 billion for Rhode Island alone. And we relied on the governor's expertise to create this program. She has the insights that we needed. And I will emphasize again her call for flexibility. We'll continue to work to make sure these funds are flexible, that they can be used not just by Governor Raimondo, but governors throughout the country for the needs of their particular communities. There are different needs in South Dakota and North Dakota than in Rhode Island, and those governors should be able to respond to those needs, and we're working to do that. We understand that she's a skilled leader, and her colleagues throughout the states are skilled leaders. They should have the resources. We've given the resources. They should also have the flexibility. Now, one aspect of this, too, is it takes some immediate pressure off the state. We now have in the bank over $1 billion. That means that they don't have to rush out to borrow additional money for an unforeseen circumstance caused directly by COVID. That will be covered. The governor's right about some of the detailed applications to the program, but the immediate effects of COVID should be covered by this fund, and that will take some financial pressure off the state. Well, let me just again say how much we appreciate the leadership of Governor Raimondo. Thank her for that, and then all of us are working with the people of Rhode Island to get through this crisis. So again, we've got to be safe, we've got to keep our distance, we've got to be kind, and we have to stay strong. Thank you, Governor.
And now Senator Whitehouse would like to say a few words.
Thanks, Governor. I'm delighted to join Jack, who was one of our Senate negotiators, on this call, and to point out at the outset with our two House members on the phone what a vital role the power and determination of a Democratic House and of Speaker Pelosi played in giving us the negotiating leverage to accomplish all that we did, including the $1.25 billion for Rhode Island. We look forward to helping intermediate for Governor Raimondo and her priorities with the administration as to the rules around this particular set of funds and the state spending plan, because it helps us advocate for Rhode Island in future legislation, knowing what gaps we may need to fill and where we should put our focus. So I want to thank the governor for the transparency that she is bringing to the state spending plan. And we are, of course, all eager to see Rhode Island businesses and service agencies and resources funded with these dollars. It should be a very significant boost to the Rhode Island economy as this funding gets deployed consistent with the administration rules. We are particularly excited that there is an effort to expand hazard pay here in the governor's plan, and we're going to work very hard to try to make a much stronger federal hazard pay come to pass in future legislation so that the state doesn't have to be fronting this out of its own funds, that there would be a national hazard pay fund we can put together. And of course, we look forward to fighting for more money for the states with the flexibility that the governor seeks. So with that, it's been a privilege to be a part of this delegation as we negotiated this. There is more to come, and I echo Jack's remarks about the resiliency of Rhode Islanders going through all of this. I couldn't be more proud to represent this state. Thank you.
Great, and now we'll turn it over to Congressman Langevin.
Thank you. Good morning. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, great. Well, good morning, everyone, and wanted to be part of this delegation and working with Governor Raimondo on very difficult, as we go through this very difficult time. I especially want to recognize Governor Raimondo for very strong leadership through this crisis. We have been on numerous conference calls or spoken to each other directly by phone throughout this whole crisis, and deeply appreciate how, Governor, you have led our state through this very difficult time. No one can ever prepare for something of this magnitude, and you've been exceptional. I also obviously want to thank my congressional colleagues, led by our senior Senator Jack Reed and Senator Sheldon Whitehouse, and my colleague in the House, David Cicilline. We have all pulled together, as we always do, but especially during this time of crisis, and it's been a privilege to work with them. I thank especially Senator Reed for his leadership in being one of the lead Senate negotiators, and as we developed these financial aid packages. And of course, Senator Whitehouse is now on this financial task force that's going to get our economy back on track when we determine when we can reopen safely. And of course, David is part of the leadership team. He's been helping developing our messaging and making sure that we're communicating to our constituents in the right way. So let me just say they've been great partners in the fight to get Rhode Islanders the help that they need during one of the most challenging times in our nation's history. And of course, I do know that Rhode Island families, small business owners, and healthcare workers are fighting to weather the storm. And I salute especially all of those that are on the front lines, our healthcare workers who are doing heroic work, keeping people healthy, saving lives. And then, of course, we would also frontline workers in the grocery stores and pharmacies and, you name it, those frontline businesses, even our truck drivers who are keeping commerce moving to make sure that people keep supplied and we keep people getting what they need. But all that being said, of course, I know that our people need help, and that's why Congress has acted with such urgency to pass sweeping relief packages to save lives, help our mom and pop shops and restaurants, and ensure our hospitals and medical personnel have the personal protective equipment that they need. Those were the top priorities in all of the aid packages that we put through in Congress to make sure those resources were there. These, obviously, these unprecedented times have required an unprecedented response from the famous first Coronavirus Response Act that prioritized things like free testing to all those who need it, and extended important family and medical leave benefits to the CARES Act that helped put money into the hands of Americans so that they could put food on the table and keep a roof over their heads. So I'm pleased that under the leadership of Governor Raimondo and with the help of federal resources, Rhode Island right now is a national leader in testing, something that is extremely important, which will be critical as we make decisions about reopening and getting people back to work. So we know that more help, more needs to be done, and we are going to keep continuing to fight in Washington to bring those additional relief and resources back to Rhode Island. We obviously need to prioritize more stimulus payments for individuals, aid for states and cities and towns, and hazard pay for first responders, and the essential employees at hospitals, clinics, and nursing homes. Now, in particular, I want to emphasize that we absolutely cannot leave our localities behind and ignore the livelihoods of hardworking people like firefighters, police officers, and teachers. Now, I'm glad that Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell has backed off his ridiculous position that he put out there that states should declare bankruptcy. Outrageous and unacceptable. I'm glad he's backed off of that. Obviously, a true national recovery is only going to be possible if we have the backs of our states, and CARES 2 needs to take them into account, and I'm confident that it will. At this point, the House is hard at work right now crafting the next recovery package. As soon as it's ready, and we are on weekly conference calls and daily conference calls with our leadership and how we develop that package. We're going to return to Washington when it's ready to vote on it and hopefully pass also needed rules changes to allow for proxy voting and remote committee work. But let me just finish up by saying that I know that Governor Raimondo is focused on making sure that Rhode Island comes out strong from this, and it's absolutely important that the congressional delegation continues our strong partnership, and it will, and to ensure that Governor Raimondo has the backing and the flexibility to continue to get this job done. So I look forward to continuing to work with her and returning to Washington to clear the way for more aid for Rhode Islanders. And I'm grateful for the strong partnership I have with my colleagues in the delegation. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we'll hear from Congressman Cicilline.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I want to start by thanking Governor Raimondo for her extraordinary leadership. I don't think there is a governor in the country who has been more on top of this situation, and we are all grateful for her thoughtful and effective leadership in this very difficult moment, and I think all of Rhode Islanders share my views. This is a challenge like we've never seen before, and I think we're demonstrating that Rhode Island is really meeting that challenge. And I want to also say it's an extraordinary privilege to be representing Rhode Island in a time of such unprecedented challenge and to be part of such a great congressional delegation. But also I want to acknowledge what Rhode Islanders are doing. I mean, we see every day that Rhode Islanders are really leading by quiet examples of doing things as simple as washing your hands, covering your faces when you're outside, practicing social distancing and staying at home unless it's absolutely necessary. And I think in a lot of ways, this crisis has really revealed the character of our state and its people, and I think we're all proud of the great work of Rhode Islanders that the governor has called to action. But I think we see on the federal delegation our responsibility is to ensure that Rhode Islanders make it through this crisis with their finances and their livelihoods intact. And we have, over the past 2 months, passed 4 emergency relief packages to help small businesses, to protect healthcare workers, to expand testing, which is, of course, key to reopening the economy. And our goal throughout this whole process has been to really save lives and protect workers, small businesses, and families that make our economy work. And I want to particularly acknowledge the role of testing, because we fought hard in this last relief package to include $25 billion for a national testing strategy to really force the administration to do this on a large scale. Rhode Island is an example to the country because of the governor's extraordinary leadership, has the highest per capita testing of any state in the country, and we need to see that all across America if we're going to defeat this pandemic.